Coming up, the aftermath of the presidential debate disaster, Mayor Brandon Johnson's wish list of new taxes, and Ed Burke's corruption trial ends with some jail time. Plus, stalkers using Apple AirTags, a Summer Olympics preview, and a celebrity interview twofer up-and-coming local comedian Matt Friend, and legend Kevin Costner. This is your Fox 32 Chicago Week in Review.
It's hard to believe that these are our two options. It seems like both of them are struggling, and it's kind of hard to see America turn like this.
I feel like they're making a lot of big claims, and I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I need to back up and research some of this.
I think I speak for a lot of Americans when I say I have, from both sides, absolute anxiety about this. This feels honestly like an episode of Black Mirror. It feels like whatever way we go, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be angry and upset.
All right, lots of thoughts from voters this morning following the debate between President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump. So we brought in our friend Pat Brady, former chairman of the Illinois Republican Party, to talk a little bit more about it and to recap what took place last night. Okay, so we just heard from three people who were at a watch party, and it does feel like that is the ongoing theme, is that people are just frustrated that this is what we have.
Yeah, and I talked to my political guru, Mike Kaplan, on the way in, and we're both concerned about who's running the country. President Biden's performance was disturbing to a lot of us. He seemed out of it, didn't seem to know where he was. So, and Donald Trump on the other side, I think he had a pretty good night, at least the way he presented himself. A lot of what he said is just a lie.
The fact-checking will go on.
Yeah, it's not good.
So, and you had those moments where you're looking at President Biden, and he stopped for long periods of time, lost track of his thought, which we all do from time to time. That is obviously one of the worst moments you could. On the other hand, when we look at the two of them, everyone they both have been presidents, so we know them. What moves the needle in an event like this? Well,
the needle moved last night. This was a disaster for President Biden. I suspect that he will not end up being the nominee for the Democrats. I think that my text chain was blowing up last night. And there's a mechanism they can do it, but they've only got 40 days. They have to do it soon. But even though he got 95% of the Democratic delegates, they're not legally pledged him, if I understand the Democratic rules correctly. So I don't think he's going to end up being the nominee. And so in kind of a weird way for Donald Trump, although he had a good night last night in Republicans, if the Democrats put up another candidate, a Gretchen Whitmer, a J.B. Pritzker, a Gavin Newsom, I think that candidate wins, because Donald Trump is very unpopular too. So, but there's just been no alternative for people more in the middle of the road that don't want to go with Trump, but they look at Biden last night. And I'm seriously concerned about the country. We've got two hot wars and one brewing in China. And we've got a guy last night, like you said, who appeared he didn't know where he was. And listen, I have a healthy respect for him.
Yes.
But we're the greatest country in the world, and a lot of people depend on us. Our allies have got to be going, what is going on here? And so the Democrats need to step up. Democratic leadership needs to step up and do something.
Yeah, I've seen a lot online this morning, panic in the DNC, panic in D.C., also certain names. Jill saying that, well, if there's one person who can maybe get this message across, that would be his wife. Also, Pete Buttigieg, Jon Stewart, because last night he said, is this the best we can do?
But it's even, and I know that's the theme the last 4 or 5 months, is this the best we can do? To me, last night as American, not as a Republican, as an American, was frightening. This is the commander-in-chief, and he didn't appear to know where he was. I mean, we have a responsibility to the world to put somebody up there that's competent. I mean, my question, who's running the government? Because it's not Joe Biden.
So then we look at the fact that where we are, we're not having a conversation so much about truths and facts from last night. What does that say about where we are in politics today, that we're not really going over what was said?
Because there was no rebuttal. He said, President Trump said whatever, former President Trump said whatever he wanted, but there was no rebuttal. And that's because the Democrats put up a candidate that wasn't capable of rebutting. And I mean, this is as bad as I've ever seen. It's scary to me as an American, and the Democrats need to find a new nominee.
Do you think they stick to the schedule and having another debate?
No, there's no. Why would Trump do another debate? And why would Biden do another debate? I got a sneaking suspicion that maybe the people, if they're this smart, put him up there to let the country see that he's just not up to it. Because I mean, it was really, really frightening to watch.
Well, that means they have a lot of work to do.
They do. They can get it done. And I think if they do put the people up, maybe we talked about, that I think that they probably will win. But even down ticket, I think Other Democrats are worried about their own races in the United States Senate and the House. So the Democrats need to step up, and the same criticism they had of Republicans for not talking about Trump and his flaws, I right now put on the Democrats. You guys need to step up and do something, because this is really horrible for the United States.
Before the candidates arrive in Atlanta, the Trump and Biden campaigns are already there, both meeting with small business owners, highlighting the importance of the economy tomorrow night and in November.
Mr. President, how you doing?
At the Trump team's event, the former president was not in the room. However, he called in, taking questions, bashing President Biden's handling of the economy, and discussing his plans to cut taxes and regulations.
Now, the inflation is a disaster. It's killing the black community, and it's killing the country. I just came up with the concept of no tax on tips. Let the people earn what they earn.
President Biden, on the other hand, claims his legislative wins, like the bipartisan infrastructure law and the so-called Inflation Reduction Act, are creating jobs. Georgia Senator John Ossoff, campaigning for Biden with small business owners, says all that government spending is spurring private sector investment.
Electric vehicle production, advanced energy, research, development, and manufacturing, semiconductor manufacturing, coming here to Georgia.
Even though polls show an extremely tight race, when it comes to the economy, Trump has a 5-point advantage over Biden. According to the latest Fox News poll, less than a third of voters say the economy is in good shape.
I think Biden has done a good job with the economy.
I'm voting for the president who done the most for my stocks, who had the highest share price.
You look at the gas, you look at the food prices, you look at all that before the pandemic. When Trump was in there, I think it was a lot better.
The country can't move forward until they fix the economy.
The victims' families believe the Highland Park shooting suspect victimized them again when Robert Crimo III backed out of a pre-negotiated plea deal in court. Robert Crimo's attorneys announced in court the 23-year-old would plead guilty to 55 of 117 felony counts, including 7 counts of first-degree murder and aggravated battery with a firearm for the July 4th, 2022 mass shooting in Highland Park. 7 people died, dozens were seriously wounded as they gathered for the downtown parade. Crimo was to agree to a sentence of natural life in prison plus 30 years, but when the judge asked him if he would agree, Crimo went silent. A recess was called. His attorneys consulted with him, and when asked again if he wished to proceed, he looked around the courtroom, filled with victims' families, and said no. His father, Robert Crimo, left court with no comment. Crimo, the father, served some jail time for signing his son's application for an FOID card, allowing his son to purchase firearms, even though there were documented signs of trouble.
There is a trial scheduled in February of 2025. We cannot answer any other questions at this time. We have been working with the victims and survivors, supporting the victims and survivors over the last several days and weeks, preparing for today.
We have a national health crisis of guns in this country, and that's what happens when you unlawfully place a gun in evil's hand. You are going to get a reign of terror.
We are not a weak community, we are a strong community, and what he did to break us, and we were broken, but we have built ourselves back and we are stronger.
There will be another status hearing before this goes to trial, the original date set for February of 2025.
Ed Burke, who was for decades the most powerful council member in Chicago, now has 90 days of freedom before he is slated to report to federal prison on September 23rd for his conviction on 13 counts of corruption.
The formerly loquacious Finance Committee chairman was a man of few words today as he left the federal courthouse building with his wife, former Illinois Supreme Court Chief Justice Ann Burke.
Back up. Excuse me, gentlemen.
Burke was similarly brief in his comments before federal judge Virginia Kendall, taking some responsibility for his conviction, but stopping short of admitting guilt. Quote, "The blame for this is mine and mine alone. I regret the pain and sorrow that I have caused my family and friends, and I would ask your honor to have compassion and mercy." After more than 5 hours of defense and prosecution arguments, Judge Kendall said his crimes were serious. Quote, "What happens when a public official acts in favor of himself rather than the public," the judge asked from the bench, "that's when citizens lose faith in their public officials, in the belief that those elected officials will represent them." But Kendall clearly did show mercy, offering a sentence that fell far short of the guideline range of between 6.5 and 8 years. Kendall said she had never seen the sheer volume of letters in support of Burke and the good deeds that he'd done. And she noted Burke's advanced age, 80 years old, with recent health struggles.
This was a lighter sentence than was anticipated. I do think you had a situation where the judge was balancing very serious public corruption with this outpouring of support.
And the judge poured cold water on the prosecution's contention that a long sentence was needed to deter future corruption, noting that former Alderman Danny Solis will serve no punishment for his legal troubles. That's because he performed ably as government mole, ensnaring Burke in numerous recorded conversations where Burke attempted to use his powerful city position to make money for his law firm.
While you're at it, recommend the good firm of Crafter and Burke to do the tax work.
All right, I certainly will.
And we can certainly talk about a marketing arrangement for you.
Burke's family, wife, 4 children and grandchildren were on hand during today's hearing and processed the news with mixed emotions. On top of Burke's 2-year sentence, he gets 1 year of supervised release and faces $2 million in fines.
With Burke's tepid statement of contrition today, we now await a potential appeal. Neither he, nor his attorneys, nor prosecutors spoke with the media today.
Chicago police say it was the community that provided information to them to find that first suspect. They are now searching for the second suspect. A 16-year-old has been charged as an adult with this murder, and details of the murder will come out in court today. Police had clear pictures of the people that they were looking for. 2 teens seen in an alley around the time of the fatal shooting. One turned himself in and goes to criminal court today for the murder of retired police bomb technician Larry Newman. At 73 years old, he remained in service to his West Side community as a minister and mentor. Investigators say he was paying someone for cutting his lawn when the offenders approached with guns. Larry Newman took action to protect others.
Larry Newman did what he's always done, acted heroically, put his own life on the line to try to save the life of someone else, seeing weapons being displayed and having a belief that this individual's life was in danger, pushed this person to safety and put his own life on the line.
And Superintendent Snelling added that these teens are the very kinds of kids that Newman would have reached out to help, to change, to turn their lives around. The 16-year-old suspect's name will be revealed in court today. He faces a detention hearing at the criminal court building.
Taylor Casey was on Paradise Island for yoga certification training, but according to friends, she didn't show up to class last Wednesday. Now, we're told family members are on their way to the Bahamas to look for her. Over the weekend, the Royal Bahamas Police Force released this missing persons poster. The 41-year-old woman was allegedly staying just north of Nassau at Sivananda Ashram Yoga Retreat. According to its website, the retreat features month-long teacher training courses. But according to a news report out of Nassau, there was no record of Casey staying there, a detail that's left friends and family baffled. On social media, there's been an outpouring of concern for Casey's well-being, with friends and relatives starting a Facebook group called Find Taylor Casey. We've requested more information from the Royal Bahamas Police Force and from that yoga retreat, but have not yet heard back. The Chicago Police Department tells us they have not been contacted by police in the Bahamas about this case. Meanwhile, friends and family members are holding a virtual prayer service this evening.
A congestion tax, a monthly wireless tax plan, city sticker increase, a vacant lot tax, a gaming tax, and a proposal to generate new revenue by putting billboards along the Chicago River. Hall says he's open to all ideas, especially ones that will leave the wallets of Chicago taxpayers alone.
Those ideas around taxing, big rig trucks kind of moving through residential neighborhoods. I've heard ideas from my colleagues centered around, delivery, right? We have these big companies, Amazons and so forth and so on, that are no longer using gas, but we benefit from gas revenue, right? Taxing, rather. And so, what do we do around electrical vehicles that are delivering? So my colleagues have centered themselves in the space of creativity And no proposal have I seen yet from my colleagues that suggests let's raise taxes on Chicagoans.
All and others plan to debate some of these ideas at a revenue subcommittee meeting in City Council tomorrow. Mayor Brandon Johnson has promised not to hike any property taxes during his administration, so he and Alders will have some work to do to find some alternative options. Many of these ideas, like a congestion tax or sales tax on services, would require approval from the state. Now, 15th Ward Alderman Raymond Lopez says there's no such thing as new revenue that won't eventually hit the pocketbooks of Chicagoans.
Any tax that we put on there, any fee that we put out there, that ultimately will be borne by the taxpayers of the city of Chicago, especially when you're talking about whether it's a gaming tax, who do you think is going to play video gaming? It'll be Chicagoans. When it's your cell phone tax or your cloud storage tax or your headcount tax, all of those will be borne by the residents of the city of Chicago.
Lopez says the city's budget has grown by 50% in the last 10 years. He says the appropriate discussion is what areas of the budget to cut.
Today, the man accused of assaulting Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx over the weekend will appear in court.
34-year-old William Sweats of Flossmoor is charged with 2 felonies, aggravated assault with a motor vehicle and aggravated battery in a public place. Sources say that Foxx was walking near her home when Sweats hurled an expletive at her and nearly ran her over with his truck. Foxx allegedly responded with a hand gesture, and that is when sources say he backed his truck up and hit her in the face with a large drink. He has been ordered to have no contact with Kim Foxx, who did not suffer any serious injuries.
The NTSB investigators say that there were several issues that caused this derailment, starting from mechanical issues even down to the communication response. Those 4 big issues, though, that the investigators say start with failed wheel bearings and its failed alarm system to alert those conductors. Then there was the emergency response from local agencies, specifically how several volunteer firefighters did not have hazardous material training, the type of hazardous materials that were on the train itself, and investigators say the railroad operator Norfolk Southern and its contractors allowed a burn of chemicals when it wasn't actually necessary. In response to today's hearing, Norfolk Southern did say that Norfolk Southern appreciates the NTSB's investigation of the East Palestine derailment and recommendations for enhancing rail safety. We share their commitment to safety and have in the last 16 months implemented many enhancements and technologies. Now, I did speak to one woman who actually lived just 1 mile from the derailment, who got sick hours after the train accident. She's worried about her 10-year-old son's health. His asthma has worsened, she says, and he has a reoccurring rash that doctors cannot seem to figure out how to treat. The railroad company, Norfolk Southern, agreed to a $600 million settlement. But people like her say it's not about the money.
This class action settlement that's coming up isn't enough. Most people can't even move out with the tops of where they're cutting people off within just a mile radius, as close as you can be. I don't feel like I have any more answers. I feel like even less, and it's scary for as many people are sick, and they know that we are sick.
There is a community meeting being held right now for community members to ask the investigators about their findings that they released today. After today, there will be a few weeks before NTSB releases their final report.
All right, one of the city's most active philanthropists has passed away.
So many people are talking about this, rightfully so. Ann Lurie is probably most well known as the name in front of Lurie Children's Hospital. Over the years, she has supported any number of causes, from education to the arts to social services. She was born in Florida, came to Chicago in 1973, and when she arrived, she worked as a pediatric intensive care nurse at Children's Memorial Hospital. She made her late husband, Robert Lurie, after that. And Mayor Brandon Johnson shared a statement on Lurie's passing saying, quote, "Ann's spirit of generosity and her selfless drive to make the world a better place will forever inspire the people of our city. I am extending my heartfelt condolences to her family and friends, as her legacy of kindness and compassion will be cherished and remembered always."
Coming up, how stalkers use Apple AirTags to track victims. We take you inside Navy Pier's Illuminarium. And our defense of the bean makes headlines. How did the leader of a small village become known as the worst mayor in America?
She cannot continue to intimidate and gangster her way through this.
From showy billboards and expensive police bodyguards to Vegas trips and retaliation allegations, we bring you an inside look into Mayor Tiffany Henyard and the drama in Dolton. Streaming now at Fox 32 on Fox Local. Search Fox Local on these streaming platforms. Download and watch today.
14 top food entrepreneurs are fighting for a $250,000 prize.
I'm so nervous.
We want to see that you can take your business to the next level.
Chili for Children.
Square Eats.
Top Drops.
You are Team Vanderpump.
I'd also like to be on Team Ramsey.
It's Team Ramsey
Whose idea was that marketing plan?
Sorry, guys.
versus Team Vanderpump.
You need to walk in your customer's shoes.
You're desperate to win, aren't you?
Wipe that smile off his face.
Food Stars, all new Wednesdays on Fox and watch anytime on Hulu.
My movements were being tracked for 5 days. My routines were being established and followed, and I couldn't do anything about it. I didn't even know.
Until this notification popped up on her phone on April 5th, alerting her that an Apple AirTag was being used to track her phone with instructions on how to disable it, quote, if this AirTag is not familiar to you.
I played the sound and stopped my car, and sure enough, I heard it beeping. I went to the undercarriage of the car, and I found the AirTag adhered underneath the car, like hidden, and immediately drove to the police.
Marissa Gerard took video of the moment she discovered the AirTag hidden underneath the back bumper of her car.
I was terrified. I was thinking about everywhere that I'd been the last 5 days where the AirTag had been tracking me.
She went straight to Glencoe Police, who she says removed it, identified the AirTag serial number, and expressed optimism about getting a search warrant from Apple to identify the AirTag's owner. While Gerard believes she knows exactly who's responsible.
Someone who is known to our family, who has engaged in harassing behavior towards our family.
Glencoe Police say despite exhausting all investigative leads, they don't have enough evidence to make an arrest. In a statement, police said Glencoe detectives were unable to definitively determine any guilty party in this incident and have not confirmed the identity of any responsible party to the Gerards. Specifically, Glencoe detectives have not been able to uncover direct evidence nor confirm the identity of the person that placed the device on the vehicle.
That's what's really scary to us, is that we feel that the police aren't protecting us.
With Apple AirTags ubiquitous these days on things like purses, luggage, and keychains, Gerard has this warning for other iPhone users.
AirTags are being used all the time to stalk people, and it will be 5 days before the alert even shows up.
There is a class action lawsuit against Apple in the works. It alleges that their AirTags enable stalking and that the company should do more to protect users. The company has introduced a stalking detection feature for the AirTag. iPhone users, however, are advised to open up their Find My app, the Find My iPhone app, and make sure that the notifications for that app are turned on. But again, as the woman in the story pointed out, it was 5 days before she got that first notification. So there's some kinks to work out, to put it mildly.
It's a campaign promise President Biden keeps trying to deliver on. But once again, one of his plans to forgive billions of dollars in student debt has been blocked by federal courts.
The president has no textual basis in law for this plan, and I'm not going to let Joe Biden saddle working Missouri families with Ivy League debt.
Missouri's Attorney General is behind one of several lawsuits filed against Biden's income-driven repayment plan known as SAVE, which aimed to wipe out remaining balances and cut payments for millions of borrowers.
We know Congress has the power of the purse, not the president.
A federal judge in Missouri agreed and ordered the Biden administration to stop further cancellations of student debt under this program. Millions of borrowers were also less than a week away from seeing their monthly bill drop by half. But a federal judge in Kansas says the White House can't do that either.
This is likely going to the Supreme Court.
The White House plans to appeal both decisions. But the last time President Biden took a massive student debt relief plan to the Supreme Court, it was struck down.
And these courts saying it's not that different. That is, you're still trying to do something that I don't see any evidence that Congress gave you authority to do.
These rulings do not impact President Biden's aid package for student debt forgiveness under the Higher Education Act. That plan is still in the approval process. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox 32 Chicago.
What temperature is the moon? What temperature is it on the moon?
It depends on whether it's the part of the moon being hit with sunlight or if it's in shade. It can be a several hundred degree difference. Are you planning to go to the moon, Elizabeth?
Really? No. This is the closest I'm going to get, Mike. This is called the Illuminarium out here at Navy Pier. We showed you Africa a couple of times. This is the space exhibit. Callum Pearson, he's spokesperson for Illuminarium. He's with me again. This might be my favorite.
I know, isn't it incredible? I mean, how can you do Rwanda, Kenya, and the moon all in one morning?
All in one morning. So this opens up tomorrow. This is not your first location, but how excited are you to be here at Navy Pier?
We are so happy, not only to be here at Navy Pier, but here in the heart of Chicago. This has been one of our target locations ever since we dreamed up, and we're having a lot of fun. As you can see, you're leaving your footprints on the moon as you walk around, and it's just such a cathartic experience. You get to do something you would never get the chance to do in real life.
I can't believe it's actually interactive. You can walk around, you can see your footprints being left. There was an asteroid thing that you could jump on an asteroid and it would break. That's what makes, and we've got a couple of kiddos here in the room with us in this 8,000 square foot room. It's so cool because that being interactive just bumps it up a level.
It does. So we're tracking you with LiDAR, and that interacts with a generative layer on top of the playback. So your movements actually get to manipulate the projection in certain scenes. You mentioned the asteroids, the footprints on the moon. We also have shooting stars that will chase you around. And one of the more fun ones is if you walk across a UFO, it's going to shoot a missile at you, and you've got to chase and run away from it. So
yikes. Again, the closest I'm ever going to get to any of this stuff is right out here at Navy Pier. So again, this opens tomorrow. What do people need to know as far as when they're coming out, your hours, tickets? What do you need to know?
So you can buy tickets online and choose which show you would like to see, whether it be the African Safari or Space. We're open 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and we would love to see you down here. If you buy your tickets early, you'll just come in and we'll scan them. But we also have a box office here at the venue as well where you can buy tickets.
And so you got to pick one. You can't do Africa and Space. You can if you buy a couple tickets. How long does this last? How much time should people plot out during the day for this?
So it's a 50-minute experience. So you'll be with us for about an hour total each time.
Perfect. And then you get to explore all of Navy Pier, and it's going to be good weather, right? It's a great opening day. Although this, you don't have to worry about the weather.
Exactly. We're nice and cool in here, as you said. What temperature is it on the moon? Comfortable.
It's a nice, I would say, 72.
Yes, that would be
72. But I'm no expert. Kaplan walks in, he'd be like, it's 72.5 or whatever it is.
A new study finds that the average American diet has only slightly improved over the past 2 decades. Fox Medical Team's Dr. Mike is joining us this morning. Dr. Mike, there's modest improvement, but how much more is actually needed to improve our diets?
Well, Brian, the way I'd look at it, we're like on the 30-yard line. We've moved the ball down the field a little bit, but I don't want a field goal. I want a touchdown. And so in some ways, we're drinking less pop, less soda, less sugary drinks. We're doing better with whole grains and things like that. However, vegetables, fruits, that sort of thing is lagging behind. And it's not just because people want to eat their chips and not the veggies. It's because of access. There are certain places in urban settings, you try to find a head of broccoli, good luck with that. So what we need to do is to get better access to the healthy foods, get our kids into eating healthy. And by the way, Brian, do you have a garden at home? Do you cook? Do you make your own stuff?
Cook. Yeah, I actually do cook. I feel like I do pretty good for a bachelor.
Well, yeah, I think that's very, very sexy, actually. If I were single again, it's what I would do. I know it's off topic, but listen, Brian, I get a little dog. Okay. I get really good shoes. Get good shoes. Learn how to cook. And you're in. You are in, man. Telling you.
I'm taking notes, Dr. Mike.
And it wouldn't hurt to go vegan, something like that. That would help too. But what you want to do is try to cook your own meals because it's going to be healthier. And if you garden, there was just a study that came out showing a reduction in dementia because you're outside, you're pulling weeds, you're doing all that, thinking about what kind of things you're going to grow and all that. That's what we need to do. All right?
Yes. Well, changing gears just a little bit here. Now, before boarding your Next long flight, you might want to reconsider ordering that drink that helps you maybe relax or fall asleep. This is especially for people with risk factors for certain conditions like heart disease and lung disease. So, Dr. Mike, what is the science behind this new study about not having that drink before you get on the plane?
Well, I don't want to be your personal Oppenheimer, all right, Brian, but here's the deal. If you have underlying heart disease or lung problems, emphysema, sleep apnea, what happens when you get on that plane and you get to altitude like 30,000 feet? What you're going to do is your oxygen levels go down. And if you fall asleep and you've had a couple of drinks, that oxygen level in this new data is going to drop even further. It could be very dangerous. And you don't want to have on the loudspeakers or a doctor on the plane and then have someone like me coming up saying hi. You know what I mean? You don't want to do that. You don't want to do that.
But Dr. Mike, some people, they kind of need to take the edge off a little bit. They're nervous to fly. What should they be doing instead of grabbing that drink to maybe kind of ease some of those nerves?
Well, look, it's not a big deal if you're young and healthy. But look, why don't you do some mindful meditation? Get some headphones, as long as you can hear the flight attendant when they're talking. But you want to get into a zone. You want to get into a Zen state. And that way you're calm, you're relaxed, and that'll help you fall asleep. Alcohol actually does not help sleep. It makes it worse. Makes your heart rate go up, and the quality of sleep is not good. All right?
He's lying in a hospital bed up at Advocate Christ Medical Center.
Alderman of the 19th Ward, Matt O'Shea, is talking about Nick Baracco of Baracco's Restaurante Pizzeria and Catering.
He's got a skull fracture and a brain bleed.
It was here in Mount Greenwood in the 3000 block of West 111th Saturday morning at around 2, where 3 restaurant employees were violently attacked, allegedly by these 4 men. They were arrested, charged, and now released. Andrew Feddick, Harry Kinney, Frank Paris, and John Powers IV, all 20 years old, charged with 3 counts of aggravated battery. One of the charges is for a victim over the age of 60.
The bouncers walking down after these individuals, and from what I see, it shows them throwing the first punch.
That's the attorney representing Powers IV. A lawyer for Paris says they handed over a video in court that shows the bouncers at Baracco's were the aggressors, not their clients.
Particularly with respect to my client, Mr. Paris, it shows that he's sort of hunted down the street, he's attacked, he's punched in the face. So I think the early reports from that ward are just entirely off base.
McNally's Pub, also in Mount Greenwood, put out this sign in support of the owner of Baracco's. The owner, Mike Cummings, says he wishes Nick gets well soon.
The Baracco's have always been a family and a staple to this community.
Applying for college can be stressful for students and their families. One author is hoping to help ease some of that strain with his new book. It's called The Journey: How to Prepare Kids for a Competitive and Changing World. Greg Kaplan is joining us this morning with some advice. So, Greg, there is so much out there. Where do you first guide a family to begin?
I think the most important part of being thoughtful in this process is to have conversations with your student about what do they hope to get out of college. Is it that classic football, rah-rah sports experience? Is it preparation for a career? And then working backwards from that and asking what kinds of experiences and things do we have to do at an early age, at the beginning of high school, to make sure our students are prepared. That could be community service, that could be specific community college classes, but we just want to make sure that everyone does have a plan to make the most of this process.
Or if you're my mother, you're like, you're going to go to college and find a husband, which did not happen.
That, or an MRS degree, and that's perfectly fine. Wasn't really applicable to me, but I totally get that.
You get it. It's kind of like the old school generation thought process. But anyway, so many people obsess over the prestige of the university. Do you think that that is the right mindset for this process?
I don't. There's not one college that has a monopoly on the path to success. And where we go to school is not who we will become. So rather than obsessing over the prestige of a school, I think it's important to ask ourselves, how does this college or the college that we dream to go to help us achieve our goals? If it is going to bring us closer to living life as a happy, healthy, and financially independent adult, great. And if it's not, let's take a step back and ask ourselves, why are we chasing this? This is not a hood ornament for a car or a label on a bag you wear on your shoulder, but rather an investment of time and money to make sure that we can live the life we want to. And I would hate to see a young person be saddled with $400,000 of student loans while chasing prestige, not knowing what that really works for in the long run.
And speaking of that long run, how do you direct your student into a career path? Because I knew that I wanted to go into broadcast journalism when I was in middle school. But there are still students out there who I meet that are, their sophomore year of college, and they still don't know what they're going to do.
I think the first thing is to recognize that there's a lot of us as adults who are still trying to figure it out, and that is perfectly normal. However, if we're trying to help a young person make the most of this process, what we should ask ourselves is what kind of experiences can we engage in, help them engage in, that will allow them to discover that for themselves. And that could be community service. That could be working at your high school's broadcast journalism program and delivering the morning announcements, which should be good preparation for doing this for a city of multiple millions of people, a smaller audience, but everyone has to start somewhere. Or it could be even getting a part-time job. I always tell students that I never would have gone to law school had I spent more than a summer working for another lawyer other than my dad. And it is so important to have experiences at a young age to discover what we like and also what we don't like.
Yeah, I had a law internship and decided this is not what I want to do. Greg Kaplan, thank you so much for your time this morning. KaplanEducationalGroup.com if you want more information.
More Americans are looking to get out of town this summer, and they're increasingly turning to the skies to do it. The TSA says they screened a record number of people on Sunday, nearly 3 million passengers. And with the 4th of July holiday, airports are only expected to get busier. On Tuesday, the TSA unveiled new high-tech equipment they say will help speed up the screening process and get those long security lines moving faster.
So you have here the computed tomography or CT X-ray systems. You have our most advanced on-person screening systems, and then our newest advancement is in identity verification.
TSA officials and agents on the ground both say the new technology makes their jobs easier by reducing the number of bag checks and pat-downs needed. At the same time, it also helps secure airports by quickly and accurately identifying passengers who could pose a risk.
We want to focus our resources on those passengers that we don't know a lot about potentially, or that we know something about that causes us some level of concern, but not to the point that we would inhibit their travel.
But of course, passengers have to do their part as well, and the agency is reminding travelers not to pack prohibited items like liquids, gels, or aerosols. And one more tip.
And most importantly, be kind and respectful to airport staff and your fellow travelers.
The FAA says it expects Thursday to be the busiest air travel day of the year, with more than 54,000 flights scheduled nationwide.
We're just literally a month away from the 2024 Paris Olympics kicking off on Friday, July 26th. This year, you're going to see a few new events. And joining us this morning with more is Dr. Jen Jacobs, Northern Illinois University Associate Professor of Sports Psychology. Good morning to you, and thanks for being here.
Excited to be here.
What new sports are being added to the 2024 Paris Olympics that we're all going to get a chance to witness in just a few short weeks from now?
So there's 4 new sports on the docket. The first sport that's making its Olympic debut is breakdancing, which will be very exciting. And then 3 other sports made its debut in the Tokyo Games, but in really abbreviated formats, and that's skateboarding, sports climbing, and surfing.
Obviously, the Olympics go back hundreds and hundreds of years. What do these new additions say about the current direction and maybe the future viewership of the Olympics?
Yeah, often it's said that sport reflects society, and society is mirroring what's happening in the sports world as well. And what we're seeing is the Olympic events trying to evolve and appeal to younger viewers. So these new sports showcase creativity, originality, and a whole lot of kind of excitement for the younger viewers, which can help bolster the future of Olympic sports. And we're also seeing something really cool happening in the Paris 2024 Olympics, and that's for the first time ever, gender equity among all Olympic athletes. So there's over 10,000 athletes, and 50% of them are female, 50% are male.
And I'm also looking forward to surfing. Personally, how in the world are they going to surf in Paris? Which of these new sports are you most looking forward to seeing during the Olympic Games?
I gotta say breakdancing, and I actually just learned that the competitors don't know the song before they go out for the competition. So they go out and face each other one-on-one, and they have to match these acrobatic moves to whatever song the judges choose in the moment that they often don't know in advance.
These look like the type of events that can possibly go viral after we see them on TV. Now, as we look forward to hosting the 2028 Summer Olympics here on American soil, what maybe new sports should we be looking forward to down the line?
Yeah, in 2028, we're going to see sports return back to a little bit more of the team-oriented, teamwork, sportspersonship sports. So we're going to see baseball and softball come back. Lacrosse is going to make its way back as well, because LA really wants to bring back that team spirit, team atmosphere to the home soil.
You mentioned LA. Is that a decision that LA gets to make, or is that kind of a all-encompassing decision to bring these new sports back some years and not have them other years?
There's a lot that goes into it. The host country does have quite a bit of say in terms of what will the trends of their event be, but it's a huge process that takes place with the whole International Olympic Committee.
Coming up, Jake goes one-on-one with Kevin Costner. Our defense of the bean makes headlines, and we end the week by making a great impression.
I think we're on Fox. We love it a lot. They're great people. They're very smart and tough.
Want to know Chicago politics? Ask Paris.
Elections, conventions, corruption, there's a lot to get to.
Paris Schutz, the most trusted name in Chicago politics.
Making sense of the issues that impact all of our lives.
He's on Fox Chicago.
I'm Paris Schutz, and I get to cover politics in the world's most fascinating political city.
Find Paris on air on Fox32Chicago.com and streaming on Fox Local.
Let's get started.
Everywhere you look, you have history of the Tribune.
Chicago's most unique skyscraper, restored and reimagined.
Ooh, behind the curtain.
During construction, countless time capsules were discovered.
Had a letter from the sports editor of the Chicago Tribune,
including the most significant relic from the biggest scandal in Chicago sports history. What other wonders does the tower hold? Streaming on your smart TV, only at Fox 32 on Fox Local. Search Fox Local on these streaming platforms. Download and watch today.
We're going to the Crown. Let's do it.
One of our lovely viewers just found a little shout out to Good Day Chicago in the New York Post.
They certainly did. Yesterday, we had to clap back at the Empire State Building. Apparently, that building has its own X account, which some very interesting people who run that account, for saying, who cares about Chicago's bean? Well, obviously, we care. And we had an impact. The New York Post says the Windy City tried to take a bite out of the Big Apple.
I think we did. Of course, we were all just having fun. New York friends, if you're watching this, we can be friends.
And Chicago blowhards, like,
come
really? On. But I would expect that coming from New Yorkers.
I mean, it's also the New York Post.
It is the New York Post, but I mean, it's just like they always have to approach everything with a hard edge.
Yes, very
You know,
much
Mike,
so.
it's like, can't we just let bygones be bygones and be like, yeah, the bean is better than the Empire State Building.
It's not even a competition.
And they mentioned you by name, Bomke. You saw that, didn't you?
Oh, I did.
They mentioned you by name as being, particularly flagrant in your disrespect for the ESP.
Which, if you know me,
Right.
illustrates my personality to a T.
That was good stuff, though. When I saw that they had, did Ponce find this out? Who was the first person who discovered this?
I don't know if a viewer sent it to Ponce,
Okay.
but he's always got the eagle eyes on the social media. If it's in Reddit, Ponce has it nailed.
This was all Perry's idea, so it worked out just like she planned.
That is fantastic.
It's been 35 years since Kevin Costner stepped behind the camera to direct his very first movie, Dances with Wolves. And since then, things have changed. In fact, you could argue his most famous role today is on the small screen.
We don't share land here. If you act like a thief, I will treat you like one.
But nearly 4 decades after his directorial debut brought the Western back to the forefront of pop culture, the legendary Hollywood icon hasn't slowed down.
35 years ago, you directed your first film. Is there anything that you learned as a director on Horizon that you really wish you had known on the set of Dances?
Probably, but it took me 106 days to shoot Dances.
I think Wyatt Earp, a movie I was in, was 113. We shot this one in 52 days, less than half the time. Now when I think back and I'm sitting in this chair talking about it, I actually don't even know how we did it, because the movie is, I think, as beautiful as anything I've been able to be a part of.
For decades, the Western has been painted as a genre that's on the way out, a fleeting moment of Hollywood history that's coming to an end. But while Costner himself is proof that this isn't true, even he understands people's hesitation toward the genre.
In the great Roger Ebert's review of Dances with Wolves, he described the movie as a Western at a time when it said that the Western is dead. And that was 35 years ago. It feels like for decades, people have been trying to kill off the Western or say that the Western is dying, and yet here we are.
I think it's hard to make a good Western. And I think that when people are lazy in their approach, that it's just dirty, or it's, you know, somebody gets killed in the first minute, so the hero gets to kill somebody the rest of the movie. I guess if that's done really well, it could be entertaining, but too often that's just what, in a lot of people's hands, what happens. And so it's no wonder that people reject Westerns, because they don't see themselves in it. But I have the gunfights, I have all the action, I have the stuff, but it comes up generic, it just comes up in a way that's genuine, that way that it feels authentic.
Next to Clint Eastwood, there are few actors and filmmakers alive today as closely associated with the Wild West like Kevin Costner. Like his characters on the big screen, Costner dreams of something bigger, something grander, something we can only find at the movies.
I've gotten to live out some fantasies that of living in another place and time, of saving the day, if you will.
No, we love Thursdays because our friends over at Paws Chicago are always with us to introduce us to some cute furry friends. Who do we have here today?
This here is Annie. She's 7 months old. Oh. She was an owner relinquishment at the beginning of this month, but we've already had her in foster, so we know a little bit about her personality. Oh. She likes cuddling on the couch for naps, and she likes to walk with her dog companion. I know, she's so cute. So she'd be great with anyone who already has dogs at home too, because she enjoyed her dog walks. So yes, this is Annie. She's a sweetheart.
We've played out plenty of puppy energy. So I wanted to introduce you to Annie very quickly here, because we don't know if she's going to want to hop down and play fetch a little bit more. But
I know.
The person we have here is Paws Chicago volunteer Amy Johnson. Thanks so much for bringing in Annie.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited to be here.
And I hear you all have 2 big events coming up, right?
We do. We have our Big Love event. I love this one because it helps our bigger dogs. 40 pounds and over are 50% off our adoption fees. And so it's a great time to come in and look at our bigger dogs, and it helps bring in new dogs into their place. So yes, show them some love and come in and come see us on Saturday and Sunday this weekend. Okay. Also, we have the Marcus Boutique in Deerfield. We like to take our dogs out on a tour, so we'll be at the Marcus Boutique from 1 to 4, and you can meet our dogs and puppies there. Yes, it'll be exciting.
I
know you want to go too. You never know.
And I always like to get across to people, you know, for those who aren't maybe familiar with fostering a dog or maybe adopting a dog, what are the things that we need to keep in mind in terms of the process with Paws?
Well, first you go online and you can fill out, there's a form, and actually for adopting, there's our compatibility form. So if you're interested in a puppy or a dog like Annie, you would just go on and fill out our compatibility and see if you're a good match. That's the same thing with the process with the fosters, and it has all that information online. You can email, there's a place to contact us, and you can find out a little bit more there. There's there's a plethora of information for people to find out online, or pawschicago.org.
Okay, and I know she wants to play fetch. So if people can, like, I'm trying to hurry, I'm trying, Annie, I'm over here trying. If people can't make it, either event.
Unicorn.
And maybe they are still looking, but they can't head out this weekend. What do they need to do?
If they can't come out this weekend, our Lincoln Park Adoption Center is open Monday through, well, it's all 7 days a week. Actually, I was like, we're open all the time. So just come out anytime, and you can check out our puppies and dogs online as well. And yeah, so.
Okay, and before we go, now I heard that our pet of the week last week, Livy, is in a foster home now?
Yes, she is in a foster home.
Okay.
She's still available, and she would be included on that big love event because she's 40 pounds or over. So you can get her
to work out.
50, yes, and you can get her for her adoption fee 50% off, and that helps, I think, a lot.
We want Livy to find a permanent home as well.
She's a
Annie,
sweetheart,
we know
too.
you're on your way too. You've got a foster home, and who knows? We love it when you guys are here. So thank you so much for coming back and letting us know about what's going on.
We love to be here. Thank you so much for having us.
It will be a celebration of the NHL's best regular season performances, and it's taking place in Las Vegas ahead of the draft. Joining me now is the host for the awards tonight and Chicago native, Matt Friend. Good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be with you. Thanks for having me.
What does it mean to you to get a chance to host the NHL awards tonight?
It's unbelievable. We were talking before I came on the air. I grew up a Blackhawks fan. I turned 26 2 days ago. So the childhood era was the Taves, Kane, Corey Crawford, Sharp era. So I was spoiled as a kid, and now to be able to celebrate and meet Bedard, we have a fun bit with him tonight. So I'm sure Chicago fans will want to tune in. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Chicago comedy had such an impact on me. I grew up near Second City. I interned there in high school. So Chicago definitely had a big impact, and I'm excited to host tonight. It's surreal.
You know, you mentioned our Blackhawks a little bit. Any predictions who's going to take home any of these awards, including possibly Connor Bedard?
You know what? There's a lot of, I could offer predictions for who wins the cup next season. I could offer predictions for who wins tonight. I actually know some stuff potentially ahead of the show. I will say the number one thing I'm most excited for tonight is fans to see some new hockey impressions as well, like Gary Bettman, McDavid, Nikita Kucherov. So it's going to be a quite the spectrum of hockey stuff happening tonight in this show.
And you mentioned hockey, right? What a great finish to this season. Millions of people tuned in for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. What do you think this says about the future of the sport?
What do you think about the future of the sport?
Yes.
I mean, the future is so bright. I mean, look at Connor Bedard as an example. I haven't met him yet, but he's a stud. He's so fast. Hopefully he does exactly what Taves did for us those years ago, and we have a new dynasty coming up. But I think, as evidenced by the Game 7 in this series, hockey is in great hands.
And we only have
hopefully hockey hosts are in great hands. Let's do a great job tonight.
For fans who are going to tune in tonight, what is it that they hope that they take away from you being the host?
I'm going to bring a lot of energy. It's also the night of the debate, so there's a lot of great material to discuss, a lot of great material. It's going to be fantastic. We're on Fox. We love it a lot. They're great people. They're very smart and tough. But we have hockey as well, of course, pop culture, topical monologue up front. It's a celebration of the players. Ultimately, I'm there to guide the night and make sure everybody has a great time. Hopefully nobody slaps me in the face. No Will Smith moment here. But a slapstick would be okay, I suppose, because it's hockey. But I'm just so excited. It's going to be a highly energetic show. It's only like 50 minutes, so everybody tune in.
Get in and get out. Thank you so much, Matt, for your time this morning, and good luck tonight.
Thanks for having me.
She held down your drive for years, many years, one of Chicago's most beloved radio DJs. But did you know that these days Kendra G's moved into the matchmaking industry? So she is back here in the Windy City now helping people find love. You have launched a dating app.
I do. I have the Kendra G Singles dating app. You know, during the pandemic, I was single. I went live on Instagram. That was 4 years ago. Then we grew to Facebook, to YouTube, and now we have our very own dating app.
Things are taking off. off for you.
Things are taking off, girl.
Yeah, I love
Yes.
to see it. I love to see it. And so you're back ahead of a big event, right?
Yeah, so tonight we have a speed dating event at Kitchen and Cocktails. Ooh, child, I got a lot of ladies that signed up. So men, listen, come on down tonight. I got ladies looking for husbands. Okay, so I need to see you in the building tonight at Kitchen and Cocktails.
Okay, so here's the thing.
Yes.
Not only do you talk about it, but you have proof that you brought here with you.
Okay, I met them today for the first time. He came on my show. They met each other after she saw him on my show. Then they ran each other in Chicago. Today is their wedding anniversary. They got married 2 years ago today, and this is their baby. So this is the Kendra G singles baby. Look at this. Come on, we gotta be family.
That's your auntie.
This is my auntie. Oh my God. So I want them to really talk because their story is the reason why I did this. You know,
Absolutely.
how people find connections. The ultimate is marriage, love, and baby. So go ahead and tell your story.
Yeah, well, I lost my mother in 2018. And from that moment, I knew that I needed to pray and ask God for some different things. And two things I asked him for specifically. I asked him for life, that I could take care of my wife and my children that I did not have yet. And then also that I could be a man of caliber, somebody that would have a legacy and people would look to say that man was a great guy.
Your priorities were in the right place. Okay,
Yes.
so that's George. Candace, tell us your part of it.
I was actually getting ready to move out of state. I was just going through some things, trying to find myself, and he found me. He found me. I prayed, and he found me. And since then,
Mommy.
I'm now in mommy mode.
Daddy. Come on.
It's okay.
It's early
She's not,
morning.
TV is like not her thing right now. It's
Yes.
all right.
Yes.
We're just talking about how your parents made you. It's okay. It's all right. You want to run around? Yeah. Okay.
But, you know, ultimately what I love about their story is, like I said, today's their wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
They have a baby. Everyone's looking for this. Everyone's looking for their life partner, someone to start life with, to join life with, and they represent that. And the fact that it's their 2-year wedding anniversary, I'm in Chicago, promoting the app. So we already coined the phrase, download the dating app and get a baby.
Get a baby.
It's just like that. Download the Kendra G Singles
that
dating
easy.
app and you'll just get a baby. Just be pregnant in an hour.
Then you need to be real ready. Thank you all for being here. Much success. Again, the event tonight, give us the details.
So listen, tonight if you are single, come on out. I got a lot of ladies, so I need more men to come. Kitchen and Cocktails tonight, the first ever speed dating event, and it will have the Kendra G Singles twist to it. You will learn about it tonight.
Okay.
Yes.
And then for the app again.
The app is Kendra G Singles, so go to your iPhone, go to your Android phone, and download the app.
A special event tees off this weekend at Cog Hill Golf and Country Club. This will be the very first Chicago Adaptive Open. It'll feature the world's best golfers with physical and intellectual disabilities.
And here to tell us more about this is Michael Gilligan with the Chicago District Golf Association. Michael, thank you for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, this sounds like a great tournament. Tell us a little bit about this and how it came to be.
Well, it all came to be actually last year when we went to our annual conference down south, and the USGA came in and told us all about this new adaptive movement. And they basically said it's a tsunami coming. So as an amateur golf association and the governing body of amateur golf in our area, instead of being there waiting for the tsunami, we decided to get ahead of it. And as part of our 3 pillars of our CDGA Foundation, which is to serve veterans, adaptive, and youth, this clearly fits into the adaptive individuals with disability category. And this week, we're celebrating a very special time for the CDGA in that it's a 110-year anniversary. We're also celebrating 80 years of service to the veterans and 25 years of our Sunshine Camps. So we decided to build a whole celebratory weekend as we start this weekend with the Chicago Adaptive Open Saturday and Sunday. With the practice round on Friday and a major celebration for all the golfers Friday night. So it's going to be a big, big weekend for us.
Yeah, sounds like it. Talk about the goal for an event like this. I'd imagine a lot of young people with physical and intellectual disabilities as well will be inspired.
No, and that's really the whole key because they tell us that 1 out of every 4 of us do fall into one of the 15 sport classifications. So this is an opportunity both from becoming more normal again, if you will, and trying to live a life that is competitive. That is a part of therapy for these athletes. And they are athletes. In fact, one of the gentlemen you just had on your screen, Evan Mathias, he just played a practice round here last week and made 6 birdies and shot 2 under par, and he's a double amputee. So this gives these athletes an opportunity to do what they love to do. And for those who have just discovered the game and got into the game as a result of their, injury, this has also been a great form of therapy as well. So the game of golf that we have shown over 80 years of serving our veterans shows that golf is a very therapeutic tool and one that we're excited to showcase here. And for anyone in Chicago who wants to come out and see them, there is no price for admission. Admission is free. Cog Hill number 3 golf course. They have 4 courses there. And we will have the first group teeing off at 10:10 on Saturday and again at 10:10 on Sunday. We're expecting 2-time U.S. Open champion Andy North, along with the father of public golf, Frank Jemsek, to be our honorary starters. And we're in for a great weekend. And we have got athletes coming from 17 different states, Canada, and we also have 12 people within Illinois competing for a $15,000 first place prize, or purse, I should say.
Oh, this sounds like a great event and so much more than just a sport, isn't it? It's about giving people opportunities. It's about being able to do what you love. You're going to be accomplishing a lot from this, aren't you?
We are. And Sylvia, having worked for the PGA of America and been the better part of 5 Ryder Cups and 10 PGA championships, working this event has provided a whole different career satisfaction for me personally, because we are really helping people. And to your point, this is more about golf. This is about the fellowship and the camaraderie that comes along with the adaptive community. And we're here to celebrate it and put it on a pedestal so that the USGA can see it, because our goal is to eventually land a United States Adaptive Open to Chicago with the USGA. And we feel the first step in making that happen is going to occur this weekend.
Absolutely. Sounds like this is going to be the first of many to come.
Yes.
Michael, thank
Great
you so
job.
much for joining us.
Thank you.
This has been your Fox 32 Week in Review. See you around next week. See Chicago with a new perspective. Join Fox 32's drone pilots for the ultimate Chicago tour. We'll see you at the Flight Club, streaming now at Fox 32 on Fox Local. Download and watch today.